Long ago, when the earth was still young and the animals still spoke with voices like men, there was Hyena. In those days, Hyena did not laugh. His voice was deep, steady, and proud, and he carried himself as though the whole savannah belonged to him. Everywhere he went, he boasted. "Am I not the smartest of all creatures?" he would ask. "Am I not the strongest? Without me, this forest would be empty." The other animals would look at him and sigh, for Hyena's belly was as greedy as his tongue. At every feast, he pushed to the front. At every hunt, he demanded the choicest share, and though he thought himself clever, he was driven by nothing more than hunger and pride. One year the rains came heavy, the grass grew tall, the rivers swelled, and food was plentiful. Antelope leapt in the meadows, rabbits filled the burrows, and fruit trees bent low under the weight of their sweetness. The animals decided to honor this blessing with a feast. Hyena licked his lips when he heard of it. "Aha!" he said. "This is my chance. I shall eat until my belly bursts." But the animals had grown tired of Hyena's tricks. Lion, wise and majestic, called a council. Around him gathered Hare with twitching whiskers, Tortoise with his slow wisdom, and even the small birds who fluttered from branch to branch. Lion said, "Brothers and sisters, Hyena is cunning, but tonight we will teach him a lesson he will never forget." The animals nodded, and together they made a secret plan. On the night of the feast, the moon shone bright like a silver drum in the sky. The clearing buzzed with music and laughter. The gazelles brought melons, the monkeys brought bananas, the cows poured fresh milk into clay pots, the hunters laid down roasted meat, and the birds scattered seeds. The air was thick with the smell of food, and the drums beat in rhythm with the heart of the night. Hyena strutted in proudly, his eyes wide, his mouth watering. He placed himself close to the food, watching with greedy patience. His belly growled like thunder. But before the feast began, Hare leapt onto a rock and said, "Friends, let us not dive straight into the meal. Let us play a game first. Whoever makes the funniest sound shall have the first bite." The animals cheered. They loved games and laughter. The parrot flapped his wings and squawked so loudly that even Lion chuckled. The monkey jumped about, scratching his head, making such silly noises that the goats bleated with laughter. Even slow Tortoise surprised them, wobbling and humming in such a way that the bird nearly fell from the branches. Hyena watched with disdain. He thought, "What foolishness! These creatures will laugh at anything." When his turn came, he puffed out his chest and strode forward. "I will win this game easily," he said. "Prepare yourselves for the greatest sound you have ever heard." He opened his mouth wide, wider, wider still, and tried to roar like a lion, bark like a dog, and howl like a wolf all at once. But what came out was nothing like a roar or a bark. "Ha ha he he ho ho ho!" The sound rang through the clearing, sharp and ridiculous. Hyena blinked, startled by his own voice. The animals froze for a heartbeat, and then the laughter erupted. Elephants trumpeted with glee. Monkeys rolled on the ground, holding their bellies. Birds tumbled from their perches, wings flapping helplessly. Even slow Tortoise let out a deep chuckle. Hyena frowned. "What? What did I do? Stop laughing at me," he cried. But the more he spoke, the stranger his voice became. "Ha ha hee hee ho ho ho!" Again and again the sound poured out of him. No matter what words he tried to form, only that laugh came forth. The animals roared with joy. They clapped, they howled, they stomped their feet. And while Hyena was trapped in his foolish noise, they quietly turned to the food. One by one, they helped themselves until the trays were empty, the pots were bare, and the feast was gone. At last, Hyena stopped, his throat dry, his face hot with shame. He turned to the dishes only to find nothing left. His belly howled with hunger, his eyes burned with humiliation. He had been tricked, and worst of all, his proud voice was gone forever. With a howl that turned into yet another laugh, Hyena fled into the night. He ran through the tall grass, tears stinging his eyes. But as he ran, he tripped over a root and tumbled to the ground. And what sound escaped his mouth? "Ha ha hee hee ho ho ho!" The tree shook with laughter. The moon seemed to shine brighter, and Hyena realized to his horror that he could never stop. From that night until this day, whenever Hyena opens his mouth, the sound that comes forth is laughter. Not a laugh of joy, but a laugh of foolishness, a laugh that reminds all creatures of greed and pride. And so the elders say, he who laughs at others might one day become the laughter. That is how the hyena got his laugh. He ha ha hee